We got a bantamweight scrap here between John Castaneda, who comes in at -120, going up against Mark Vologdin, who comes in at +100. Now, Castaneda is coming off of back-to-back losses against skilled strikers in Daniel Marcos and Chris Gutierrez. He had no answer for Marcos' style. That was a very tough matchup for Castaneda. But then against Chris Gutierrez, he really made a solid case for himself that night. The first round, he was largely winning until he got knocked down with about 45 seconds left in that first round. He was unable to get much success off in the second round. He did have success in the third, but it was too little too late by that point, and he ended up losing on the scorecards. He normally utilizes a lot of movement, lateral movement, good kicks from distance, good combinations when he blitzes the pocket, and he can mix in the grappling game when he needs to because he does have a decent wrestling base as well. I think he is one of the more overlooked fighters on the roster, and even though he's 34 years old, I think he's a solid test for a lot of guys looking to break into the UFC and try to, have success there. Castaneda will always be a tough out, even if he ends up coming up on the losing end, as we saw in the Chris Gutierrez fight. His chin and his durability normally holds up. The only guy that's finished him by knockout in the UFC was Daniel Santos, who landed a perfectly timed and placed knee. But we've seen fights for Castaneda where he's been able to utilize his output, his volume, and his wrestling to get ahead and win fights just like he did against Gafarov and Kyung Ho Kong. Now he welcomes Mark Vologdin to the UFC, who came up short on the Contender Series last time around against Adrian Luna Martinetti. That was a wild fight. That would go down as top 3 Contender Series fight of all time with how back and forth that matchup was. Although I will say it was Vologdin early, and then Martinetti mostly won the last 10 minutes of that fight. There was an instance where Vologdin was able to hurt Martinetti in those last 10 minutes, but Martinetti eventually got his wits back about him and put that pace and pressure back on Vologdin. Vologdin shows clean, crisp, power striking. He has wrestling if he needs it as well, but it seemed like he might have a little bit of an issue with cardio. Now, I don't want to say that just because of his last loss to Martinetti. That fight was fought at an insane pace, and he wasn't really conceding positions too much. Martinetti was able to grind out a lot of that with forward pressure, with a few takedowns and top pressure of his own, but Vologdin didn't settle for bad positions for too long. He was working to find ways to scramble, to get back to his feet and try to put the power back on Martinetti, but it really seemed like he was a little bit deflated, and all that damage was causing him a lot of disruption. But Vologdin has decent promise. He's 26 years old, came up on the Russian MMA scene where he put together an 8-3-1 run. Then he joined the All-Star Sweden gym, which is obviously where Hamzat Chimaev started off. Alexander Gustafsson also trains out of Ilir Latifi was out of there. Gegard Mousasi was out of there way back in the day. And then he started to fight for a promotion that actually was hosted by the gym, and he rattled off, I believe it was 4 straight first-round victories, which earned him that opportunity on the Contender Series. He's a solid prospect, but I think we might see him tested here, especially with him going up against a UFC veteran like John Castaneda. This is a tough one to call, and I believe that's why the odds are as close as they are. I'm going to lean on the strength of schedule here from Castaneda, as well as his well-roundedness and cardio edge. I think this will be very competitive early. Vologdin could absolutely land a big shot early to cause Castaneda some issues, but I think the durability of Castaneda, the ability to stick and move, land his calf kicks, stay in perpetual motion, mixing in wrestling himself as well, I think that's going to cause Vologdin issues, especially as we get into deeper water. So I'm going to go Castaneda here. I think he wins by decision. Again, it's possible Vologdin can land a big enough shot to cause Castaneda issues, but I think if we get into the second and third rounds, that's where we're going to see Castaneda's cardio and pace really start to stack up and cause Vologdin issues, leading to Castaneda winning this fight on the scorecards.